Hello, welcome to the channel. My name's Pete and this is What Remains. We're at Preston in Lancashire and we are covering the Longridge branch line. We're currently stood at what remains of the Deepdale Railway Station. I'll put some photographs of this up at the end. There's loads of bridges onto our destination because we are going to Deepdale Tunnels 1, 2 and 3. We're going to go through all of those. There's loads of bridges on the way down, so I'll be taking photographs of those, so stick around for those at the end of the video. Today I'm here with
Ashton from Exploring the Past and the Present. Hello guys.
And I've got my brother with me.
Hi, yeah, I'm Steve.
And we're going to continue on down the line and we're going to start down at Deepdale 1, which is the far end. So we'll see you down there. This week we're over in Preston and we'll be looking at the Preston and Longridge Railway. Originally designed to carry quarried stone in horse-drawn wagons, it became part of an ambitious plan to link Lancashire coast to the heart of Yorkshire. This would be from the docks at Fleet, going through Lancashire all the way to the Bradford Exchange, which no longer exists today. And in a moment I'll be showing you all the quarries in that area, but as we can see, this is Preston, and this is the area that we're concerned with around here. This is Magdalen Goods Station, and this is the end of the tunnel around there. The Preston and Longridge Railway Act was in 1836, and it was to build a tramway from the quarries. Wagons were horse-drawn from Preston uphill to Longridge. Wagons ran by gravity in the opposite direction. Horses were used for the final 2 miles. The line was adapted for steam, and the first steam train hauled a train on Whit Monday in 1848, and in 1850 a double track was lined. And we can see, if we look up here now, just how many quarries would have fed this railway. There is literally a dozen around there. Now, interestingly, there's a tunnel marked on the map here. I didn't know this at the time, but I would love to know if that tunnel still exists, because if it does, I will go up and I'll take some photographs and I'll film it, because I'd actually like to walk this entire line. So in 1846, the Fleetwood, Preston and West Riding Junction Railway Company purchased the line. This would take us through Miley Tunnel. We can see at the line here, some of it is not going to be accessible, looking at the side-by-side maps. In 1866, the plan was to extend the line all the way to Yorkshire, fearing that the rival Midland Railway would buy the line to gain access to Preston. The Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway bought the line instead. In 1918, there was a plan to extend it all the way through, right up through Hellifield, but this was never implemented. The line did have a couple of stations along the way, but these were closed by 1930 due to the rise of the popular bus. It was a highly profitable line to start with for goods, and it remained so for a good number of years. And if we follow the line down, we can see how it goes. Some of this we're going to be able to walk along in the future, hopefully. Probably winter looking at it. Now this part's interesting here, because you can see there's some points there where the line splits off. This side is going up an embankment to the mills, and we can see just how many mills that this would have fed at this point here. At least 6, 7, 10, possibly even more. But the points remain in place there. But we're continuing on and we walk down the line, and this is where we enter the tunnel at Deepdale 3, but we will start our filming at Deepdale 1, which is just around here. So let's join me in the tunnel. So we made it. We're down at one end of the Deepdale tunnels, or Miley tunnels, and we're in the shortest one at the moment, which is known as Deepdale 1. This is as far to the end as we can get, unfortunately, because it is flooded. I've not brought my wellies, I wasn't expecting it. Now, the former branch line to Longridge was connected to the main line at Preston via a series of 3 tunnels, which is these tunnels that we're in, collectively known as Miley tunnels, which took it under the district of Deepdale, the northern town of Preston. Now, this is known as Deepdale 1. The tunnel is 160 yards long and runs below terraced houses on the south side of St. Peter's Square. Now we're just going to have a quick look. What's unusual about this one is we've got rails down. I've got my brother with me today, and what's he pointing out to us?
No, I wasn't.
But what we do have are wooden brackets on the walls. There. More than likely for cabling, pulleys. And we've got the refuges there. You can see that side is flooded. I'm above the water here. And then we have this here. That's probably where cabling ran inside. Now, the last train ran in here in February 1980, and it was disconnected from the main line, which is now behind us, down there, in 1990. So no trains have run in here since 1980, but it's strange that they've got this one side track all the way through. It was double track at one time. So we're almost at the end of Deepdale 1. But strangely enough, our kid pointed out to me that they've got these lights up here. Some of them are broken and damaged, but these are probably for inspection of the tunnel. Who knows when they were left? And we've got the drainage system starting to collapse in now. It's covered with sandstone coping stones. You can see it's collapsed in there. There are a couple that do have metal manhole covers. We've got all ballast down. I've tried to look at some dates on the chairs, but I can't see any, although some of them are labelled BR. You can see this fish plate here. Huge 4-1. And then we've got chocks of wood in there, look to have space fillers. And I'll turn you back round, looking down there. That was towards the main line. This would have been up towards Longridge, the quarries, the reason it was built. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in the next railway tunnel, because here we're coming out. You can see the difference from the light to the lush greenness just outside there. Sandstone walls, red brick top. What you see is a line here, an expansion joint, and in there is a pipe that's been cut through. Now, it was originally 3 tunnels, but now it's 2. I'll explain that when I get to that part. And you can see here we've got bracings in. These would have been later additions when the line was put down. As you can see, a lot of locals now use this as a rubbish dump, and it gets worse further up. Up there, and I've got flats, and that'll be where these bracings are in. Now, I know they're a later addition because the materials don't match. up there. And we'll just have a look back at the porthole of Deepdale 1. Just brick lined, nothing exciting. Nothing fancy, no fancy copings. And then we're going to get up to that Deepdale 2. So I did think none of these were original. I say original, I mean when it was built with the line, because you can see that one's got a concrete plinth with blue engineering brick around it, but then we've got these lower ones which are actually inbuilt into the stone, so they were probably there to start with. And that's these big huge braces here compared to the single concrete brace which is going across there. So that's worth noting. You can see the ivy growing up there. You can see Ashton from Exploring the Past and the Present. And this is our entrance to our next tunnel. Like I said, this was originally 3 tunnels, and I'll explain why it's only 2 tunnels when we get there. Nothing fancy, just brickwork. Nobody was ever going to see this. It was a line originally for freight, for quarry, although it did take a passenger service for a limited time. So as we're entering Deepdale 2, we've got the line all the way down, and it's still there. And I'll just take you through into the darkness and show you what we have. Got the chairs down there. You can see my long shadow being cast now. Both sides do have refuge points. And there's my torch line up with a brick line at the top, stone at the back. Now it is still sooty up on the ceiling up there, up on the roof. And we're going to go through. And then we've got our first refuge on the left-hand side. In there. Now when I get a little bit further into the darkness up there, I'm going to tell you some stories about this railway tunnel, or this series of railway tunnels, which is really quite remarkable. And I will tell you when I get a little bit further in. Now here we are in Deepdale 2, a little bit further down. This one being 272 yards in length and curves north. At the end of this tunnel there would have been a small cutting which was little more than a ventilation shaft, and then that would lead us into Deepdale 3, but that's changed, so I'll show you that when we get there. But there are just the odd few little things lying around as well, and the line is still in situ and goes all the way up through there. Now it was a goods line. Main service would have been for the mills, because there was many mills around here, and that era came to an end in 1967, but the western section was retained to serve coal to Cortill's factory at Red Scar, and that, like I said earlier, lost its trains in February 1980 and disconnected from the branch line behind us in 1990. And down there used to be an engine shed, soap works, and like a triangle sort of turning point for the trains, the locomotives. We're approaching another refuge. Again, nothing particularly remarkable, brick top rendered and stone. Go a little bit further and I'll tell you a little bit more. So as we're walking up Deepdale 2, my brother's noted some markings on the rails. If anybody knows what they are, please drop a comment and tell me and share that information. There is writing on it. +3, +3, and then not too far away, +4, and same at the other side, and then probably another 10 feet along, plus 5, plus 5, and if you notice there's an up arrow next to it as well. My brother suggested this may be something to do with the gradient, but if you can confirm that, that would be fantastic. So this line was opened by London and North Western Railway, along with the Yorkshire Railway, and they opened the Preston to Longridge Railway, which is where we are now. We're walking from Preston towards Longridge. This was a branch line in Lancashire in England, and it was originally designed to carry quarried stone in horse-drawn wagons. And then it became an ambitious part to link Lancashire to the heart of Yorkshire, and that would have been from Fleetwood, the docks, to Bradford Exchange, which no longer exists. This failed. The line only made it to be a 6.5 mile long branch line, and that was where it remained. Now, before we enter Deepdale 3, which is the longest of the 3 tunnels, there has been sightings and reports of hauntings in here. And the accounts, it is claimed that one of the spirits that haunt the Miley tunnels is a Margaret Banks, who was killed on the tracks underneath a train in the 1800s. The events unfolded at Deepdale Station, which is probably just a few hundred yards that way, probably 500 yards maybe. And she's a 15-year-old girl who was said to have fallen underneath a carriage as it travelled through the station. The teenager was dragged under the wheels, resulting in her death. She's said to walk the tunnel at night, appearing after dark on stormy nights. And it's believed to be her blood-curdling screams that you can hear in the streets above. There has also been several reports of a grey lady entering these tunnels. Nobody knows who she is, only that she welcomes strangers into the tunnels. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. We've not had anything happen down here so far, except maybe a brick dropping down and hitting Ashton almost, which was extremely dangerous. Maybe that's something to do with it, who knows. But we're going to go on, and we're going to go through Deepdale 3 and see if anything happens while we walk through there, and we'll show you what remains of the railway. So Deepdale 3 is 383 yards long, and as you can see, we've still got the rails down here. Now I've got my brother acting as a lighting man, and it seems to be working quite well. I'm trying to find some of the fittings that we've got. Here we've got metal, and here we've got wood. There are no ventilation shafts in these tunnels. There was just that big sort of cut-in that's now filled in where the police station was that I showed you. Now as our brother walks ahead, we'll just stop there for a moment and we can see again more fish plates. This rail is just perfectly preserved down here. You know, where it was, let me shine you back how dark it is down there. Down there where the cuttings were, where the wooden sleepers have rotten, whereas these are like brand new down here. So we'll continue on down the line and then we'll get towards the end of the tunnel. Now we're almost coming to halfway mark. It is in remarkable condition. There's no water ingress except for the end where we were. There has been, by the looks of it, maybe the odd repair there, I'm not certain on that. But it's all the same construction. As you can see, we've still got our lines down. Now it does curve off to the right up here. I'm going to turn my torch off because you can now see that pinprick. That is the tunnel portal. That'll be our 383 yard mark. It's getting quite large now. Now, there has been some water damage here because I can see it on the tracks. The red brick, where the faces have come off the brick up there. There are one or two that you can see, but it's still in incredible condition. And the refuges are all the same with that two course of bricks. There we go. We're going to get up to the end and I'll show you what that portal looks like when we get through to the other side. We're now approaching the end of the tunnel, and the cuttings here have been used as fly tippers, garbage dumps. There's all sorts of crap at the end of this tunnel and in the cutting that leads to it. Sadly, I don't think the council has any interest in cleaning it out or even any money to do so. There's a huge lump of rail missing here where it's been slid through or something like that. There are fish plates missing at this end of the line. We did see more. Now, this was a cut and cover job. It's not very deep. There are housing estates above it, police stations, factories. And up there is towards Deepdale Junction. As you can see, the fly tippers have had a whale of a time here. Fridges and all sorts up there. It's absolutely disgusting. These are the mills, what were fed by the sidings, all up there. Some buildings are still here, but most of them have been knocked down for modern builds, modern industrial units with no character or charm or anything. That's where we came from to start with, where I did my introduction up there. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please buy me a coffee from the link down below. It's much appreciated. These places are dark, dirty, dusty, and your mouth feels disgusting after breathing in that air. So coffee is very much appreciated. Please subscribe to the channel. That's the best thing you can do for me. Also share it if you wish to do so. And I'll see you in the next one.